There's Derek's not here. Let's see. Myself, I'm the vice chair, sitting in for Derek. Ken Campbell's here. Secretary. Scott Lindsay's here. Member. James McClain is here. Member. Is that everybody? Do we have anybody online, John? I was told them that they were going to be online. No. Okay. And Ben is the Director of Development Services for city staff, and also Emma Chipua, Planning and Zoning Manager. Notice is given of a regular meeting, and we're going to call to order. We have a consent agenda where all items are considered to be routine by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless the commissioner or citizen so requests, which the event will be removed from the agenda, considered as normal sequence. Approval of the consent agenda authorizes the administrative official or designee to place each item on the city council agenda in accordance with the Zoning Commission recommendation. We have the consideration of approving the minutes of the following meeting of the Red Oak Planning and Zoning Commission from April 4th, 2022. Have any discussion on this? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve consent as presented.
Motion to approve by Scott Lindsay. Second by James. All in favor? All approved. This takes us to new business, which is to conduct a public hearing and consider an amendment to the City of Red Oak 2010 Comprehensive Plan, future land use map, change the designation of a property generally located south of South Central Boulevard and east of North Highway 77 from Planning Area A, SPA 5, to Special Planning Area 1, SPA 1, to permit multifamily unit and duplex uses for seniors on approximately 17.23 acres, tract situated in the J. Lawrence Survey, abstract number 653 in the City of Red Oak, West County, Texas, case Z is in zebra, is in cat 22-14, requested by Maddie Gurmy.
So this is also going to go with the next item on there, just so when we're talking about this, we'll kind of go into that next component as well.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is a request to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan from Planning Area 5 to Special Planning Area 1 to include multifamily units and duplex uses for retirement communities. The current PA5 designation prohibits multifamily units and duplex uses. The applicant is proposing a retirement community that would be limited to seniors, and this proposed development would promote a diversity in housing in the city. The proposal includes 150 multifamily units, 10 individual duplex units, and many amenities such as a pond with a fountain and covered pier, outdoor areas for yoga, mini golf area, a dog park, community garden, amenity center, and a steep-wide walking trail around the property. Staff recommends approval of the request as presented, and the applicant is available and we're available for any questions.
So I guess let's also go into, I'll kind of go on the site plan if you want to talk about anything specific, if they're going to kind of both go together, but they probably need to be hear about both at the same time. So the property is located at the corner down at 77 and 342, which if you've ever been out there, it's a tough property to develop due to all of the grade changes. We had them in, I think 2 years ago, where we were trying to do something with some townhomes. and they've since come back and, submitted for a new request. I'll get clear here. So here's 342 if you're looking at your screens, and then 77, and then this, all the white space is going to be right of way here. It backs up to this existing subdivision that was annexed in after it was developed. So it has a lot of non-conforming homes on it, a lot of modular homes, and possibly trailers. I don't know if they're trailers or all modulars. But they're all non-conforming in any case to our current standards. The layout provides large buffers around both the back side and the front side. There's a lot of trees here along the frontage that we're proposing to keep with the main multi-units in here. Again, these are all, Emma mentioned, they're all age restricted, so you've got to be 55 and up to live in here. There's several amenities throughout the site. They've got a pool and a clubhouse. There's an area for like a little mini golf course, which there's more detailed plans on. They will have a wet retention pond in addition to their detention. So that'll be a nice area with a fountain and a little fishing pier that goes out on it. And then, like she also mentioned, these walking trails that kind of go throughout the site. So we'd ask the architects to do a sightline analysis to show where the existing homes were in relation to we wanted to make sure that the apartments weren't overtowering the neighboring properties and looking into the backyards. But as you can see here, like I mentioned, it's a pretty big hill that runs down towards the highway, so the existing residents are up here, kind of above the hill. So the third story doesn't look down into backyards or anything like that, which staff thought was a positive. A lot of times when we do these types of development, that's always a concern of neighboring properties, is that they're looking down onto their land or into their backyard. These are just some of the details that were provided for the amenities, and then some nice color renderings. The materials meet the standard of everything in our comprehensive plan. So really, the comprehensive plan change is merely the use. There was no use for senior multifamily living, and so what is up for consideration first is adding to the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, the fact that we don't have any senior living components. It's adding a senior living component so that we can allow something like this. Again, some more renderings. There you go. So high quality materials, good change in materials, change in elevations, change in the offsets of the building, so it's not just one big box. So that was important to staff as we worked through this with them. But as you can see, overall high quality product that we thought was a good product to bring for a senior community in the city. We don't have anything like this this is in the southern part of town where we don't really have anything like this. So it is a good component to have from a diversity housing standpoint as Emma. This is the smaller, the less vertical mix. So this is kind of like a duplex, 2-unit. It's got their own garage bays, so it's more for it's for a much more independent person who's gonna be doing a lot more in and out on a daily basis versus the apartment, the actual vertical residential units where you probably see a lot less in and out of the development on a daily basis. These are just typical floor plans, a lot of one bedrooms for either couples or singles. With a 55 and up community, you're not going to be looking at a kid situation, right? So you're looking at retirees, older couples that don't want a house anymore. They want somebody else to take care of everything and just have a lock and leave situation, as they say. These are the elevations for the buildings. I think they came through a lot better in the color rendering, so I'll let the color renderings rest on that. But I think that explains kind of. We can go into a little more detail on the actual hearing item when we get to it. But I think that at least gives you the background for what the comprehensive plan change request is asking for. So with that, we'll take any questions there if needed.
I have a couple of questions. As you evaluated this, what's the parking situation like? So in other words, if family wants is there plenty of adequate parking? I know that's been a discussion in other complexes that we've looked like. And then the other question I have is, for the folks that live in the apartment complex, what's their parking situation? Covered parking?
So there is, we can get more into the nitty gritty of the parking calculation, but am I correct me if I'm wrong? Are covered spaces and basically. Okay, so there's no covered spaces. Open parking for the vertical. The horizontal units have their own garage space with additional parking next to it. I'm sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head what the ratio was.
One parking space.
One per unit.
I also had a question. That was one of my questions. The other question is, are there elevators in there, or because we got seniors, and the other thing in conjunction with that is with more elderly people needing emergency assistance in the fire department as far as the streets, the width, because as we see at the facility of the year, we have a lot of emergency traffic on the roads 51 now. And at the age of 55, like me, you need to get guys, so we want to know if there is adequate elevators and things like that.
Yeah, so there are elevators, and then the roads, they're not roads, they're internal parking lanes. But yeah, there's a standard 24 or 26 wide, depending on the location next to the building.
What's the chief involved with any of that as far as?
Yes, the original site plans get reviewed by the fire marshal.
Yeah, the area, the corner of 342 and the white area as well. What is that area?
It's all right away, text dot right away.
Are there any plans or things that we know of? Right?
Not that we have plans for now. But if y'all want to, I think the goal here is let's open the public hearing and then let's talk through the use, like we're adding. So this is, like I said, it's two separate items. So we're talking about, do we think that changing the comprehensive plan to allow for a multifamily, age-restricted development is appropriate in this area? And then if we all think that's correct, then we pass it, then we'll move on to the very detailed site analysis.
is a public hearing. We give the people who are in favor of the item 3 minutes, and we will have a timer as well. In favor of the item, just state your name and address. We'll give the people who are opposed to the item an opportunity to state their name and address and how they're opposed. Again, 3 minutes. Go ahead and open up this public hearing. If there's anyone in favor, they can state their name and address, for you to say for 3 minutes. Anyone in favor, online or in person?
Stephanie, tell you.
Yes, please, come on up.
My name's Tom Malone, 814 Pennsylvania Avenue. I have an office in Fort Worth, Texas, and I was the architect and designer on the project. The site is a very difficult site, but a wonderful site to work with. We've been trying to keep a lot of the natural beauty that's on the site. It being age restricted, we're planning on providing a lot of services. We will encourage really just keeping one car in lieu of two, and we're providing bus service and a lot of internal service, so you don't have to do as much driving, and a lot of like the walkway and the golf course and all. There's a lot of things to do on the site or in the site or in the amenities building. Amenities building is going to have a cafeteria in it, so if you don't feel like cooking, you don't feel like eating, you can go over to the cafeteria. So you got a lot of those type of activities, as well as a place to watch movies and things like that. So I think it'd be a wonderful addition where it is, and I know we have strived our best to say there's a lot of mature, beautiful trees along that highway, and I tweaked everything I possibly could to leave that. In fact, we had a tree survey done, grade survey done, and then the way we're doing it is the middle grade is where everybody feeds into, and then we basically allowed the outside of the building to drop all the way down to the ground so that we do not disturb that area. So that walkway you see going through there is actually going through the trees that we surveyed. So we're planning on just removing the minimum amount that we have to keep it safe for people. And we also provided a lot of benches along the way. If you have any questions about it, I'd love to answer anything you've got.
Anybody else want to speak in favor of this item? Anyone want to speak against this item?
I'd like to say,
my name is Paul Kern. I live at 122 Steinbeck Court in Red Oak. I'm not necessarily opposed to this, the community, but if you go down that area, you're leaving Red Oak, going to Waxahachie, a lot of traffic right there now. I'm thinking, how much more traffic is this going to add? Probably not so much since people are going to live there, but people coming in and out, traffic's going to be an issue. And also, I think, if you're putting a retirement community kind of thing next to the road that close, it's going to be kind of noisy. Live there, maybe? My only two concerns.
Anyone else want to speak against this item? Motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
second,
Motion by Scott, second by Kim. All in favor? Aye. discussion, we already have, development approved on this, I understand, it was a couple years ago, we approved the development for this, they're just revising it from the open everything to closing it down to.
I don't have any objections over here.
I don't have any.
The motion.
Chairman, I move we approve item B as presented.
Dr. Fruit. James, all in favor? All approved. Takes us to item C, which is corresponding item. This is to conduct a public hearing and consider a zoning change for plan development 108, PD 108, plan development 108R, PD 108R for the construction of multifamily units and duplexes for seniors, property generally located south of South Central Boulevard and east of North Highway 77, approximately 17.23 acres tract situated in the J. Lawrence Survey abstract number 683 in the city of Red Oak, South County, Texas. Case is in zebra, is in cat 22-12, requested by Natty Cooper.
This is a companion item to the item that you just made a motion on, so this is the zoning change request. And it's a request to change the zoning from PD 108 to PD 108R to the development of a retirement community, which consists of 150 multifamily units and individual duplex units. And there will be three-story apartment buildings and one two-story apartment building. Access to the site will be from 342 and 77. The interior of the buildings will be primarily masonry, and they're going to have amenities such as a fountain, a covered pier, outdoor areas for yoga and mini golf, dog park, community garden, amenity center, and a walking trail, 6-foot walking trail that surrounds the property. Staff recommends approval of the request with the condition that a 6-feet masonry screen wall with a stone facade and columns be installed along 342's frontage for complete screening of the street. We go to the fence exhibit. So they're going to have the wrought iron fence enclosing the site, but we're recommending that there be a 6-foot masonry wall along 342 to block the noise and traffic on that area. And that's actually how it was approved for the townhome development. It was approved in 2019 by City Council. So staff is available for any questions or the applicant is available.
Here's the exhibit. So the thought was, because the layout was very similar to the other development where a lot of the units were in here. So the thought was, okay, let's screen the actual units, but then leave, the nicer looking, the open spaces open with the wrought iron, so you can see in there and see the retention pond and fountain and all that. So because that's how it was approved originally, we thought we should probably stick with the same, but the applicant had not provided the same. They were just doing all wrought iron on the front, is that right?
Yeah, wrought iron everywhere.
Yeah, so they were doing wrought iron along the entire frontage, versus having the stone, brick along here.
How tall was the wrought iron? Sorry, I may have
6
missed it.
feet.
6 foot.
I'll go into my concern on that one after the public hearing.
Okay.
But it's set up right now as masonry wall all around to where the lake is.
Right. The way it's submitted is this. If you look at the screen up there, it's this 6-foot ornamental fence along the entire frontage. So what staff was recommending was these open spaces here, and over here would have the ornamental fence, and then the here to about here where the actual buildings are, you have the standard masonry screen.
What's on the back side of the complex between that and the other institution? This is on the back side of it as well.
Right here?
Yes.
The retaining wall.
Yeah, so there's a pretty significant retaining wall because the ground slopes off so much.
Okay.
Where was it? It was on that site now.
The rendering of the retaining wall, it's over here.
On the sheet.
Yeah. Kind of hidden behind it.
Oh, so it's gonna be a multi-tiered retaining wall because there is such a large grade difference. So it'll look something like this. And then, there's a big power line easement that runs up here as well, which also kind of makes it tough to develop. So the sidewalk meanders in and out of that, power line.
And there's also significant landscaping.
A lot of trees.
The thing,
Up there, that's the
What is
big
that?
bubbles are the existing trees.
Oh, what?
That's sort of, the triangle right there, up, what is that?
detention pond.
Detention pond.
Yeah, I love that they're keeping, there are many of those beautiful mature trees there.
So there is some new plantings up there in the front, but then if you kind of see all these big bubbles, those are all of their existing trees. And they did a tree survey to try to identify the biggest and best to try and save, and then had the sidewalk meander in and out, make kind of, you know, an enjoyable walking scene for folks that live there.
This is a public hearing, so we'll open it up again. For those who are in favor, just state name and address. Have to read this to say where you're for this item, and then we'll have those who are opposed about the as well. So if you want to speak to this item, please come forward and state your name and address.
I'm still Tom Malone. Still live in the same place. I guess the only thing I heard in that discussion I'd like to address, we had really hoped on keeping the fence as an open wrought iron. We don't have, this isn't a gated community. Security starts at the building. And so we were trying to make it as inviting as we could, but we did need security from, say, somebody parking along the highway and coming onto the property, so we did need that 6-foot protection. I was hoping on keeping enough of the natural bushes and things in the area to kind of step the fence into that, to basically not make it a prominent element that runs all the way along. I don't feel like that's really inviting. And that's why we were actually providing the additional planting, so we could kind of break up that fence. I worry that a masonry fence, especially if you get into a cost crunch, they have a tendency to be the concrete guys that kind of look like stone. I don't really appreciate what they end up looking like in a lot of cases. And they're just not as inviting, in my opinion, as you could have with just the open wrought iron. So that was our decision on why we headed in that direction. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody would like to speak against this item? Motion.
We did have one person write in, just wanted to, it's in your packet, I believe, but she just mentioned, address was, she just said, think about, traffic. She was again, so, just wanted to get that. But that was it.
In regards to that, they talked about possible other thoroughfares. Has city council brought anything else in regards to that?
East of what?
Remember when we were looking at the Siege property, we were talking about the traffic flow, and we were mentioning something about eventually, if the golf course or something was developed, another thoroughfare for.
That's up to the north side of the golf course that goes west. It'll eventually go all the way from 2077 next to the high school and then over 35 that way.
But has anything been said, done, or whatever, because again, what we talked about before is the traffic.
Not on that.
Okay.
That's a massive project,
Okay.
not in my lifetime.
All right.
But we make concessions for it, and look at development, so we should get the right away.
Okay, we have a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion to close the hearing.
First by Kim, second by James. All in favor? Discussion?
Yeah. Just a little bit, because I am in that, what you call it, lock and lead.
Yeah.
I'm a lock and leaper now.
Yeah.
Okay, and I love the idea.
Yes.
Ready to sell my house, anybody wanna buy one, I'll sell it to you, and move. I am a little bit concerned, I'm always concerned with safety issues on the top, okay, the non-gated area and where it is one concern, because these are the most vulnerable citizens that we're gonna have. It's also in a very secluded area compared to the rest of the city. Roads will be glass, things of that nature. And I just wanna make sure, kind of like, James over here on the elevators, that we're doing everything we can to make sure that this is a very safe place for the residents. I'm not buried on this masonry wall, but I would like to see a higher rod on, because 6 foot is a little easy to jump and cause issues. It's not gonna change the game for me and say it's a bad addition if it doesn't. I would like for it to at least be looked at for the safety of those residents. There's a community much like this, or apartment complex much like this in Waxahachie, and I think it's an amazing one. The residents love it, but one of the things that they love about it is they feel safe. They feel safe walking, they feel safe there. So, I'm not gonna sit here and down the sword and say you gotta do this or that, but I would hope that it would be really looked into for the safety of those residents. Again, kind of like the traffic flow issue, to me, it fits. This does fit. I really was excited when I saw this, to be real honest with you, because something is gonna come there, and this is a great use for it, in my opinion. But I just wanna make sure that we are doing everything that we can to make sure it's a very safe place. And again, for me, you don't have to sit here and say, we're gonna do this today.
But it's a concern.
But it is a concern, and I hope that it will be looked at by the, in that area. Other than that, I'm very pleased with what I
Well,
think.
you know, I am, as I said, as well, I love the ideal. I'm always promoting for these type of projects to come together. But the other thing would be, what about the safety of the residents? Because what I see right now, as the gentleman mentioned it, 377, 342, is the traffic's gonna go crazy. You got another development coming in right down here. My concern, somehow we can work it out, is this for seniors. People are gonna cut through that community to get to the high school and cut through there. So we need to somehow, at those entrances, make it where it's not as easy for them to cut through. And that's what's gonna happen, I guarantee you. Because people go across the right of way now to cut traffic. So,
Is it typical for y'all to put in like speed bumps in your like, especially along that real long,
Yeah,
like in the parking lot.
It would have to be built all, and it could have some actual, I guess, noisemakers, bumps, kind of coming in at each end, so.
Right. Because I was thinking of more the, like what he was saying, was instead of going to the light at 342, just cut through. But you definitely wouldn't cut through, even if there was two speed bumps, you know, I guess.
Well, and the other thing.
But I know it's very typical in a lot of apartments, they have those just for that, you know, just for the residents to slow down, right?
And I don't even know if there's even a possibility of like a half roundabout, because those, again, like Scott said, I promise you, people are gonna cut through there once they figure out they can just run through there. And then the other thing is, maybe if there's a guard, I don't know if you guys have a guard that's gonna be there, that can kind of be present, so when, during the school traffic times, there's somebody there to kind of, you know, defer that. Because, like you said, you're making it a walkable community, and with the increasement of the homes in Waxahachie, and also coming right across the street over, right next to Light School, we have tons of homes going there, so traffic is gonna be an issue, but if we can defer that.
No, a lot of times, you have, you end up with people cutting through. Very easy to install a gate and use that gate and kind of interrupt the pattern.
Right, and that's basically what we're looking at, something that, because I guarantee when you're sitting there for 10, 15 minutes, you go, ouch. Because even with the sight line, it looks like it's gonna be a straight shot for them, because you're coming around, they go, hey. And it's not gonna take long before 3 or 4 others gonna do the same thing. But I do like the community, I love the fact that the trees, the neighborhood we live in, the trees are amazing, we live there. I just wanna make sure that we do everything we can to limit, deter people from coming through this, since there's not a gate or.
And if I don't, if you don't mind, can I kind of double back on the reason that it's not gated as opposed to?
Amazon is a big problem. Because the traffic to back up, and this goes with the concerns of the neighborhood. So imagine 188 minutes in Amazon, you know, like in and out, in and out, in and out. It's not there. Now what we can do, we can make it gated from like, say, midnight to 6 a.m. or maybe till 9 a.m. to the school traffic is dealt with. And then you have to open, otherwise.
And that, I understand what you're saying, because again, the one in Waxahachie is much like the same way. But I don't really have as much of a problem during the day. It's the evenings, it's the times that the residents over there are walking, you know, and there's, it limits the bad element, I guess you would say, from being there when the people are trying to enjoy it. And as, again, what was it? Lock and leave?
Lock and leave.
I want to quote that here. As a lock and leaver, I personally feel better that there wasn't in and out traffic during the evening at night when I'm trying to get out and walk. Again, it's not the same as me.
We do install camera monitoring cameras all over the park.
So, where the entrance is, you have the wrought iron fence, even if it's coming pretty close to the edge of this, that then will give an appearance of it being gated, as opposed to it, let's say, stopping from here to where you are. If it's become similar, because I think the community that's up here on the villa is not gated, but they have the masonry walls and the fence comes to it. So it looks like it's controlled, even though it's not. It will give the appearance, because again, in these days and time, as Scott said, that's our most vulnerable population, and we want to make it safe for them.
James, I was just looking up, because I wasn't 100% sure where the school district boundary went. It's actually, nothing south of this development, which is where all your traffic originates from, is in Red Oak ISD. They're all in Waxahachie ISD. So they'll actually be, anybody that's south of this development would go south.
Well, but we still have,
I'm not
but Light School just built a new high school there.
Yeah,
and they still utilizing that stoplight.
yeah,
So again, you have,
sure.
students that are going back and forth, but and we're talking about putting another high school right up here. Isn't there another elementary school going up here that we?
I think that's in their bond proposal.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the developer was doing something with this, leaving room for one anyway. I thought.
They had left some room, they approached the school district, and the school district said they weren't compliant, but they have left.
Okay.
I'm gonna trust developer. If not, I'll be patrolling through there all the time, giving the developer help. I'm just saying.
I mean,
Or will be residents there,
And I'll roll be a resident, yeah.
and eventually, that's what we're talking about, because
And be close, there's several of them that may be residents there.
Exactly.
So are we married to the screening wall, the masonry wall, or? Is it okay with that wrought iron, or y'all okay with the wrought iron?
we live right over here, large lots, acre, and even at night, we still get the sound from 35. So, the traffic there, and I guarantee they're gonna get noise over there as well. There's no way they can't, you come to my house and in the middle of the night, I'm hearing 18-wheelers, every time they hit the bridge, the whole nine yards, so. The concern, like I said, the safety aspect of it and what we can do to, eliminate as much traffic noise as possible. So, it doesn't have to be a masonry wall, but whatever we can do to provide, because like Scott says, we might be down there. Yeah.
So landscaping could be like a buffer.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. A lot cheaper than a wall.
And it's long term, I
Yeah.
think it looks nicer as well, long term, if they have to have the trees and have to know the area. I do agree, I like the idea of looking at an 8-foot instead of a 6-foot jump. People aren't gonna be as, likely to climb it or do other things or thing to happen.
Yeah, because if you look at, I hate to say, look at next door, the mischief that's going on every day here, so we want to protect those people.
6-foot masonry wall may not help. It's high.
Right.
We have motion.
Ben, would we need to make any change in
If the only thing you would say is that you would want to, do a 8-foot fence instead of based on your conversation, an 8-foot wrought iron instead of what as proposed.
And also some type of diversion light towards the end with those two.
Yes, from if you're just talking about what you were saying, bringing the gates,
Yeah, just
all the way
close
up to the
it. Yeah.
edge.
Because like I said, yeah.
Can I ask that question? I guess I am gonna go back and ask it. Would it be a possibility of gated with it being open during the day or, where it can be secured at night? I would feel better
I would feel better.
all the way around with that, just for a second.
Okay, just so you guys know, when we do gate it, the entrance is gonna have to be reconfigured slightly so that if, like, a delivery truck comes in after, or whoever tries to come in afterwards, they can turn around without having to make a 3-point turn or something like that. So just FYI.
Anchor again, previous.
Yeah, so just have to go back.
Yeah, okay. If you could do that, we're 100% with that.
But the hours will be limited, like 11 p.m. till 6 a.m.
Yes. Definitely.
We're gonna take the numbers from the.
I'm feeling like I might can move in now, I don't, and I believe it's gonna help you guys, honestly.
It will.
Y'all done this, but again, I talk to those people all the time down in Washington, that's one of their big, they want to feel protected inside, and they built more protected inside that gated wall when they're walking. And they do a lot of walking now.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more than I'll do, but as a lock-in, whatever, you know. But I appreciate that, because I think it's gonna help you guys, and I think it's gonna make it better.
I know that all these have been made of the safety feeling, but I think it's more of a perception kind of thing than.
Well-
Because somebody wants to do something.
Well, I'll give you an example. I lived in Miami, and you guys know this, and I started a grocery delivery business because I used to drive along Miami Beach and watch seniors carry groceries. So I delivered self-order delivery. They have a complex there called Silver Lakes, whatever. Similar, but I'm talking thousands and thousands. And just the people get out there walking, and that's what they liked about it, is that they felt safe in there. And I mean, you can't even get a spot in there. But
It's a deterrent, it's not, crime is crime.
Yeah.
35 years of it, I know, crime is crime.
Yeah.
We got break-ins across from the police station, but, you know, if one person goes somewhere, and this is not to sound ugly, if one person goes south and commits a crime and not on our citizens, we've done our job.
yes.
But I appreciate it, I do. Ben, as you just said, if you want to restate that also.
So the motion would be, to approve with an 8-foot fence, around the perimeter and gated entrances at the entrance, gated features at the entrance.
We're giving up that masonry for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was just simply a past suggestion based on what was previously approved.
Yeah, we could do that.
They just still come out cheaper. I will still move on that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Scott, second by James, all in favor?
All right.
All three. You know, when you're leasing, I got you to just go sell it to my wife and move it.
So everything in
Just
rental is
giving up her full for one. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item is, P&Z agenda item D. This is another public hearing, consider a zoning change from plan development 42R, PD 42R to plan development 42R1. For the construction of a daycare on lot 1, block 1 of Josie Acres Edition, located on the southwest corner of Louise Ritter Road and Low Ranch Road, addressed as 201 Josie Lane, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, case Z as in zebra, C as in cat, 22-13, requested by Red Oak Academy LLC.
This is a request to rezone the subject property from PD 42R to 42R1 for the development of one daycare facility. The building will be approximately 6,508 square feet in size, with an outdoor play area, adequate parking, and adequate landscaping provided. The exterior of the building will be 100% masonry with architectural access. Access inside will be provided from Josie Lane, and emergency access provided from Louise Ritter Road. Staff recommends approval of the request is legit. And the PD 42, it was basically a daycare facility, but it was for 2 buildings on the site. So this is just, staff is available for any questions, and I believe the applicant is.
Well, I'll also add a little history to this. So, if you look at the site here, they've got possible access from Josie, Lawrence, Louise River, and then also if the school would have let them have a driveway, which is what they previously had wanted, but working with the ISD, they couldn't come to an agreement, and the ISD did not want them to utilize this driveway connection, which is how we ended up with connections on 2377 and Josie. The other connection points were tough because when the school was built, they did not line up either one of these driveways with Josie, and so moving it a safe distance on Lawrence put us too close to the 2377 Lawrence, and too close to the Lawrence, school entrance. And so we ended up with an access on Josie. Now, with a lower intensity use like a daycare, it's gonna get really no use on the weekends, and then really just pick up and drop off traffic. It wasn't a big concern to utilize a residential road, considering they aren't really passing any residential homes, to get there. So just that's a little bit of background I thought I'd share. Here is the site. Like Emma mentioned, it's already approved for a daycare, but they did not want to utilize site plan, so this is really a site plan amendment from the previous zoning.
This is a public hearing. Again, we'll open it up to those who are for this item, to state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to tell us why you're for this item. And then those who are opposed, will have time for them to speak as well. If anyone would like to speak in favor of the item, please do so. In favor, online, person? Want to speak against this item? Motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close.
I'll second it.
James, second by Kim. All in favor?
They did also provide elevation, and they are in compliance with our zoning ordinance. Additional questions on those, from all in the packet.
And you guys spoken, they've been aware of this, and
Yeah, I've been talking with Kevin about it because of the driveway issue, trying to see, and they just didn't want to access to the school driveway, they did not want to share the path. But yes, I've spoken. Mentioned several times they didn't care about the use, it was the connection they didn't.
reason I asked, I worked under a different administration, they were dead set against it the entire time. And,
What was the reason?
Traffic is horrendous right now. And someone who stood in the middle of the road.
So that, Kevin did bring that up, and so, the entrance on 2377 is actually gated, and it's only for fire. So
Okay.
fire needed 2 access points, and so the main access point will be off of Josie here, which again, you're not passing by homes to get there, but there is enough of a circulation pattern where you can come in and then you can drop off, pick up on the porta share, and then leave out the same entrance. And then this back entrance has a Knox box on it, fire, and that will quell the concern. That was also our concern with that, and TxDOT as well, is that it's close to the connection. That's how we got around that, with saying it gated, Knox box on it.
I think where their other concern in the past was Josie coming directly into the school traffic, and this would be at the exact same time. I mean, you're dropping off daycare at the same time you're dropping off school.
Sure.
That corner's always been a concern. It's been a concern whether it's a gas station or whatever, just because it is so sandwiched between those two.
Right.
And there is no access, or there's no control on Lawrence and Josie. I am concerned about it. I'm very concerned about it. Again, them being able to get in and out. That is such a great, and you may, I don't know if you've been up there in the morning or afternoon, but it's a total gridlocked area for a good 45 minutes. And if they have officers in the street there, that they have to, in order to get them in and out of there, and that's going to add to that. So How far from the first residence on Josie is that entrance? Do we have any kind of aerial or anything?
From a, like driveway standpoint, you mean, or?
That in the building itself. The
So there's the first house, which is the county, and then, the driveway is right here.
and it'll go in and circle.
I'm sorry?
It'll go in and then circle.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so you'll go in here, and then this is under the porte cochere is one way, so you'll go around here, and then underneath the porte cochere, pick up drop off. And they did, provide mention a sidewalk around the site, and there are Google images that people walk across the site right here. I think the owner was even keeping it both for kids to walk across, but now they'll have a sidewalk first around the site. Now there's no sidewalk after the site, but that's no different.
But mind you, it's already zoned for this exact use, so they could, if they wanted to keep the old site plan, which is not as good as this site plan, all they have to do is submit a permit and build it.
Where's the eagles? Where's the two eagles? That we're trying to tell them.
Yeah.
That's your way of saying that.
Right.
Got to shut up and let it go because
Well,
it needs to get worse. No, I understand. I do. And I knew the day was going to come.
Yeah.
From way back when and I'm not, they need to take care of there in that area. They used to have one across the street, they pull all the time. I don't doubt that. I do have a lot of reservation on it just because of traffic. The people at Woodard are going to absolutely hate my vote, but I understand where it is.
Okay.
The only question I have is, it really is a daycare, right? So it's not going to be offering kindergarten classes or preschool. Is it going to have anything that needs with it? Okay.
We got a child care facility, zoning ordinance, a child care facility, use that definition. Like a parking table.
Okay.
You don't have to know the width of Josie, do you?
Unless it's on this plan here, probably standard county development width at like. Right away, but the actual road is probably.
So their entrance is. Their entrance is
standard 30 for what we use on commercial.
I understand where we're at. I'm curious about it, it's a nightmare. It doesn't.
Well, it is, but, with all the growth we got going, you have, I'm with you, but.
I like that it is off of low ramp, so, off of,
Well, you're right, the swing
because they're just a.
You basically, even getting in and out of that, I'm sure the developer understands that, but even getting out of that, it's gonna take a while. You don't get in and out fast,
No.
anywhere through that area. It's over congested just because the schools are, not anything to do with this, because the schools are so close together.
Got all three right there.
It's unbelievable. But if, you know, at Spot High School, one of the main reasons it moved. But again, I understand it's already
But I kind of wonder too, if it's
approved.
not the same cars utilizing the same space, right? Dropping off the kid at daycare, dropping the kid off at the other school, right?
And the junior high goes on the side.
Okay.
I mean, for parents with younger kids, it's one stop,
Right.
get out, walk. And I know didn't we lose 2 daycares up here on, we lost 2 on Balboa Road.
And this is not to do with this, but it is to do with planning. That, the ranch on that side is county, correct?
Yes.
Can we at least touch base with them and make them aware, because potential, I know the county doesn't do a lot, I work for it. But for them to potentially do some type of crosswalk or something, we're gonna be adding a lot more kids walking across there in an unprotected area. They've got teachers that work out there, but, you know, just to touch base.
Okay, sure.
For discussion? Motion. I'll leave that to one of you guys.
I motion that we approve it as item
D.
D.
I'll second it.
Motion to approve by James, second by Kim, all in favor? Item D. Next we have the agenda item E, which is another public hearing, to consider a zoning change from industrial I and highway-oriented HO zoning districts to plan development 138, PD 138, to align the zoning district with a comprehensive plan. The property is located west of Interstate 35 Highway, I-35, approximately 1,645 feet north of Speary Lane, with property ID numbers 196-885 and 188-569, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Case Z as in zebra, C as in cat, 22-15, requested by the City of Red Oak staff.
The request to rezone the subject property from industrial and highway-oriented to planned development 138. The current industrial zoning district permits intense uses such as major auto repair, equipment rental, facilities for manufacturing, heavy machinery sales, service and storage, machine welding shop, mini warehouse storage, and motel uses. So those uses are permitted by right industrial zoning district. The purpose of this PD is to change the zoning so that it aligns with the comprehensive plan's vision, which calls for mixed uses, large acre development, retail, office, entertainment, grocery stores, and restaurants. If this PD were to be approved, the only land use permitted would be those identified on Exhibit B, list of uses, and these uses generally conform with the city's comprehensive plan for that retail, mixed-use, office types of use. Staff recommends approval of the request, and we're available for any questions.
I'll give you a little extra background from before Emma was here. So here, the property we're talking about is here along the frontage of 35. So you've got the B&B Theater going in here with some pad sites out front. And then up here, we did something very similar, I'm not sure if y'all remember, where we just kind of zoned out some uses for this property that's gonna be adjacent to the 9, just to make sure, we basically went in and cut out our uses that we don't want and had our uses that we do want in those type of general retail type uses, and that's the same thing here, because right now it's industrial, as Emma said, it's got some of the worst uses in our zoning ordinance that are allowed by right. We don't necessarily want those, especially on our highway frontage. This basically just matches what's gonna go on here, so that this becomes kind of our commercial power center of the city.
Can you zoom in a little bit to the north of there, where Loop 9 is coming through?
Right here.
Okay. But this is obviously an older position.
Yes, it does not show
Okay.
all that out.
What did we approve that development up there for, similar to this, right?
This one, this is it's a mix of.
No. Remember the land that you talking about? Yes.
Yeah, it's all kind of retail.
Similar to this.
It's got a transact pattern, so what we're talking about, what you're talking about is, this area right here.
Correct.
Closer to the frontage, with a lot more of that retail use. They had a full transact pattern though, where they had single family here, and then townhomes, and there's some multifamily allowance, and then into the heavy commercial retail as you get closer to the highway. So on this site, we've already got the single family component here, and so this area here will just go right into, the retail and the commercial. Big
Kind of
box
makes
type
you slide
stuff.
down there.
Similar to what's up here, yeah. So, but, remember, it's a PD, so anybody that comes in to develop, they'll have to bring forth the site plan and the
Right.
elevations and the landscape plan, for your approval. This is merely, redistricting it so that it, has, uses that are within, that align with the comp plan.
So,
I think the owner, submitted a letter of support, well, back.
This is a public hearing, but we wanted to open a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this item, state your name and address. Anyone opposed to this item? Motion to close the public hearing.
second.
Motion by Scott, second by James, in favor. Motion.
We approve it. It doesn't align with what we've been looking for and trying to get, as far as along that corridor there, and hopefully help us to do the same on the other side.
I'll second. Motion by James, second by Scott, all in favor? All approved? Aye. Motion closed. James, second by Kim, all in favor?